A catcher 2 years ago. No, 8 months ago. Yeah, when I'm a catcher. Sir, he will be forced to go to another church. And sometimes they hear it. He will be forced to go to another church. He will be what? Forced. Change of government, ever take place. Oh, Nigeria. Donald Trump will go for 10 term. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Now, listen. When everybody was saying Donald Trump cannot come and become a president again, I said he's coming back. I said yes, sir. Yeah, that's the state Donald Trump, and he came to pass, right? And because of that. All the men of God was saying, on Monday, baby, Bijina said Donald Trump will win the election, and he came to that, 2 of us. And I'm still saying Donald Trump will go for 10 term. Donald Trump. Today is first. From now on the 5th January, I see a terrorist attack in Nigeria, and they will send a message that on ground a terrorist attack from now to 5th, which is another 4 days. I see a terrorist attack coming to Nigeria. I've said it earlier, but I see another attack on Anthony Joshua, right? From Mumbai. Another one is coming. Israel, Pakistan, Russia, USA, China, Saudi Arabia, North Korea, Turkey, United Kingdom, France, and Germany spending more in building and purchasing weapons of mass. We need to pray to avoid the 3rd World War. Don't take my prophecy as a joke. These countries are spending much to buy weapons. In Zimbabwe, through difficult times, Zimbabwe, more gun violence in the United States of America, that will call for the consent for the Senate for debate 2026. More gun violence in America, pay. And the Senate will call for it, Ghana, Parliament, to debate it. Why? To go for it, Ghana. 20. Pray against a leader who died in a plane crash. Pray against a president. A plane man, through plane crash 2026. A president will be in a plane, and the plane will crash, and he will die through that plane crash. 2026. I see a president tell me resignation in 2026. President will say, I want to resign. 2026, Margaret. President, and we pray. This year there's going to be a lot of attack on her health issues again. Our advice, also that any attack on the health issues, I am for being advice because 2026. Anthony Joshua, said Anthony Joshua has broken a covenant in his family. So he should go back to his family and ask what he should do. Because the second one is coming. But this time around, Anthony Joshua. on our table, King Charles will face a serious cancer 2026. King Charles. It will be all over the news. Sir, he is facing serious cancer. Will he survive? Or he will die? King Charles of London, United Kingdom. Can I? Message 2024. Career plans. Health issues. 2024 career. Hey, answer question. Hey, who won your red house? Mr. Wanu, Mama Busia, who won your red house? Yeah, you put it out free. Oh, my man. Oh, Papa. What's the start? What now? Oh, now. Oh, household.
The pressure is getting. We ahata et Yehovah. Elohika bika luvika. Uvika navashika. Uvika miyodika. Toda yashach. Toda yashach. We ahata et Yehovah. Elohika bika luvika. Uvika navashika. Uvika miyodika. Toda yashach. Toda yashach.
Now we better now born one sambrane. I can't say a common name. And now my yankasa. Yeah, but make job. Or mine a quay my. Yeah, we say we position a war government in power near there, but ultimately the country must make progress. Let's not pretend. This government has lost focus from January 7th to date. No pretense. No pretense. You ain't pretending about it. Hey? Now, from January 7th, what has this and this government done? Can you tell us, say, beyond sir, theoretical economic indicators in our paper, so now, what have they done? In any case, I always keep insisting, say economic indicators no more on one case decisions, any more actions. I'm a zero-sum effect. This is a baby wa. Now, say me to electricity 1,000. As a January 7th, I will be eh? That's a 1 year, 12 months down the line. I paid ya 1,003. That's a what say a friend is saying full or so. If you 14, about 12. And you see why? It's not a zero-sum effect. So me a manufacturing company. Now say me the dollar e can ya me fia bruchi bagana. Now dollar now 14. And I want to so about 11 or 12. Now say me who be here me kakra na what's here to me electricity no water media production na ton ade no what's here to by 28% ni 15% da what's me mo nse ma me dwuma me ntiase na na o be ka che me am ye nurse ni am me one nursing college any me am we nursing training college am tifie se me to abama wa wo ba be mu pe o be ye no automatic placement. In fact, now see a nurse if we call demonstration omo bo man penny the voice are all cast same way actually 12 months down the line was 6,000 pen of me afa yes we 150,000 budget you kan mienu mienu need to be for 6,000 aka mienu pe o say afia so why are they me do want me say in kola obeka che say yenko university ne yakwa obetua yesika no stress fee first year my na ne me go school 2-3 months ne sika ne my enu ntimi a me hia ni a me ni baby amebo besia no me ntimi akọ school no even though we share mebo say obetua ma me no wo de hihye by say me ntua na obe refund me ntimi nya bosia amfa nkwan kotua iti baka tire fie me so a me ntimi ni escape tua ye no me tua me fa say 4,000 na wo refund ya mu fa o ma me be 40% pe o si me mo nse ma. What are we doing? Dear che o ma Ghana for do na ati ase se o ba be mu a galamsey no ekufo do ma mpani an kase ne tu galamsey ena na be mu mpani fo na tu galamsey ena wo say se o ba be mu a galamsey no be ende ne prekope. In fact wo cabinet ministers say o ma mpani a o ye serious ene ni abre no o here 2 weeks pe no dey aye or they are stopping galamsey 2 weeks or 14 days and now when the 365 days can be kekako to me stop galamsey o say why are there me do am say no me say kekako o say me monse ma o hwene ne a me no ka say galamsey e pega e mohom yensa than it was in the past aban no kasa e to galamsey for no good e ma oni omu dia no galamsey for no protest ya no mo bonus Go and check. When I say me ankasa e de me ankasa me camera ko twae. Kwa bin secondary school. School ni mu ankasa ne yetu galamsey. Ashanti Regional Minister ankasa bi na no say Akokari College. School ni mu yetu galamsey. There is a school being in the Eastern region. Me person me body me go person ade no. Me gather me nyama ni nyina wi na ya. Odi bi o ma ye. O ma transfer teacher for no be half. O go to transfer. And on the NDC affiliated teachers never school ni agenda behind the dining hall. O ma prospectus o mo go to diamond hall. Me na me catch you. Hwe abomoso secondary school e we Eastern region. School no dan echi e na yetu galamsey. Na say my NDC for na etu so mo no mutu. Nti ye nyina ye se MPP ni ba ko be free mo obedi kokonsa se kwa bin die obi na be di kokonsa che me na me kotwa ayo nti we do mo kwa no ma come wa school no mutu. But it is a reality. You see the reason why I say one say kwa bin die na koso e me yakun last 3 days na police for kochi om kwa fin school fin why do you wait for a complaint before you take action?
Peace FM.
Government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now. Government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moore. It's always a pleasure to come your way. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and I want to say a happy New Year to our cherished and loyal audience who tune in every morning when they wake up and watch the show. We're grateful that you stayed with us in the last couple of decades since this show was introduced, and we're very, very happy that you stayed loyal to us. We want to say big thanks for that loyalty, and trust me and believe you me, 2026 is only going to get better. It's going to get better, and we're taking your feedback. We're working on that feedback, because without you, we don't have a show, we don't have an organization. And so the Ignite Media Group, we are truly grateful for that. So Happy New Year once again, and may 2026 get better. My name, once again, is Aldo Moro, and as always, as I said, a pleasure to come your way. We want to say a big thanks to the Almighty God for granting us long life, good health, and we're back again to join the nation's conversations on the big issues that are making the rounds in our dear country, Ghana. Well, as you do know, the newspapers are still on break, but I do have one of my favorite newspapers, actually, Daily Post. The Daily Post is out. I'm not surprised. Mike Dogosi, good morning. Happy New Year. It's good to hear from you. Mike is a very, very good friend of mine. He's almost like a brother to me. He's the managing editor of this paper. So what we'll do this morning is that we'll only not bring you Daily Post, but also tell you what the online portals are reporting this morning. So first of all, Daily Post says that 1 year of President John Dramani Mahama, leadership that rebuilt trust. Dr. Callistus Mahama writes, very, very interesting article. I've looked at it a number of times, and I'm not surprised. I've known Dr. Callistus Mahama for a very long time. So his opinion was not something that I found surprising at all. There's also NPA promotes energy safety and sustainability at Nkokon Kitinkiti Chicken Festival. Gold Board CEO dismisses claims of losses, clarifies IMF remarks on gold for reserve program. And there's also Mr. Ibrahim Mahama supports disability groups with Christmas donation. Sami Jamefi delivers in 1 year what would take 5 elsewhere. Ato Forsing is the one who's doing the talking. Now, Major Online this morning says that final funeral rites for Ayawaso East MP Nasser Toure Mahama set for today. Sad development indeed. Not a good way to start 2026. And he's MP for Ayawaso East. I'm talking about Nasser Toure, also a very good friend of mine. May his soul rest in peace. As you do know, in line with Islamic traditions and custom, he's been buried. In fact, his funeral is actually happening today at the National Mosque in Kanda. So you may want to troop there to go and bid him final farewell. There's new more baby dumped in sewage system at Tema Community 1. Over 6,000 teachers threatening legal action and street protest over unpaid arrears. Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayene rebukes premature NDC flag bearership debates. Parliament mourns late Ayawaso East MP and Nasser Toure Mahama. And there's Bank of Ghana to sell up to $1 billion in January 2026 under FX intermediation program. Ghana should be lending to the IMF, not borrowing. Franklin Kujo has been talking. There is also City Newsroom says that Ayawaso East MP Nasser Toure to be laid to rest today and pay our salary arrears, or we will protest again and pay teachers warned government. It is from policy to pocket what Mahama's second year means for prices and SMEs. Ayene, succession talks in NDC a distraction. Fargard's part of Kaswa New Market as productivity has collapsed. Fabak dispute, Tema Port claims. Mahama Nasser Toure death leaves a void difficult to fill. Ayawaso North MP has been talking. And then Ghana Web says that, Ghana Web is reporting that immigration officers suspected of transporting 2,600 rounds of AK-47 ammunition bound for Wale Wale arrested. Take the drugs yourself. Famia claps back at critics over drug abuse claims, and as Let's Support the Gold Board, it holds the key to value retention in Ghana's mineral sector. Jamefi Forsing and Siama are true patriots. Ghana should begin loaning money to the IMF. Franklin Kujo. Vision FC spoils the Diana FC title, Chasing Dreams, and most of the applause and praises of Mahama's government. There's a Prophet Ebonoa arrested. Why would you arrest him? I allowed him to feel free and build his ark. Anyway, so that's it for Ghana Web. Now, the last, but obviously the best. Yes, I've reserved it for the best. I've reserved it for the last, because actually the best. Talking about MetroTVOnline.com. Yes, it says that Ayawaso East MP Mahama laid to rest. And there's to be laid to rest today. There's a HKP report. Parliament may extend presidential term without referendum. There's Brahim Diaz makes history as Morocco beats Tanzania 1-0 to reach AFCON 2025 quarterfinals. And they're coming up against Cameroon, I believe, in the quarterfinals. Yes. There's Ayawaso East MP Mahama Nasser Toure to be laid to rest today. And there's Bank of Ghana should explain how the 240 million loss happened. Franklin Kujo. NIMOS arrests 2 Chinese nationals for illegal mining at Pankese. And there's the La Assault. Kafui Danku urges rethink of corporal punishment. There's a police charge suspecting viral child abuse case, and life and career of Ayawaso East MP Nasser Toure Mahama. Public reflects on President Mahama's first press conference in year-end review. And there's a Ghana Olympians Association and GOC collaborate to empower athletes for post-sports success. All right, so that's it for the newspaper. Well, that's one we have, and also the online portals and where they're reporting. When I come back, or when I return, I'll tell you who my guest for the show are. Please stay with us.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Brush, 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 brush your teeth. Brush, 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 2 times a day. Brush with Kel-Kit.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel-Kit Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky chicky whiter, chicky chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel-Kit, happy smile.
Chia winning Nara, me ding edge baby dapa. Me dear sonko cran ebremo. Now the 20 animal would be an egg, Japan, me de bremo. And no, any summer spices. Summer spices in here. And wow, no bebreo. Various flavors. Ubenya a yako. Ubenya nemchi. You do good jollof muma and we get there. Ubenya ye do quam. You do for you. Hot nako pibito. Na Emma with Gianni. And yet day. When you mean ya, young con your cocoa for eka.
Down your communication, you all enjoy Uduba, that Samu spices. One in the essence, no pie. I think it's Lariaga. Samu spices in a Sabi, Daddy so say. Samu spices, Moon Samu.
Samu spices, Yaba chicken.
Samu spices.
In Sanaka in Kitswa, measure 10 grams. Your chicken, spaghetti, garlic and ginger, stew, can jollof, and the flavors alpha bebre.
Samu spices, yes, Saka.
The festive season is here again, and your most preferred estate partner is giving you 25% discount on land sale. Yes, for our Bronya Asase promo, Estate Masters is offering this massive discount for outright purchases. This includes free indenture, free site plan, and a free site visit. So what are you waiting for? Rush now and secure a plot of land while it is still hot. Reach out to us using the numbers below or visit our website at www.estatemastersgh.com. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
All right. This is Good Morning Ghana on the Metro Television. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, Happy New Year. So my guests are seated. We'll kickstart our conversation. But as we always do traditionally, when we start the year, we'll do some reflections just briefly, and then we'll get into the more germane and more substantive issues that we want to look at this morning. So joining me this morning are two very beautiful, affable, intelligent women. I like talking to women. Well, don't think of it in the negative sense, but I mean, I like talking to intelligent women. That's what I'm talking about. So, one obviously representing the ruling NDC, and the other one representing the opposition NPP. So, Loratu Musa Saka is a member of the NPP's communications team. She's joined us this morning. Haja, good morning.
Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
And it's good to see you.
Always good to see you.
You know, I'm sure that once I give you the opportunity to tell me what your maybe I'd have to give you the opportunity to tell me what your New Year's resolutions are after you've done a bit of a brief reflections on how 2025 has been for you. I'm sure you do. I'm sure there are a number of things that you would like to do this year. But anyway, now the reason why I'm introducing Beatrice as my second guest is because today is Beatrice's day. When I say today is Beatrice's day, I'm sure that you have a fair idea of what I'm talking about. Beatrice remembers the day she was born today. Yes, today is Beatrice's birthday, to cut it short. Beatrice, good morning.
Good morning, Moro.
It's good to see you.
Yes, as always, it's good to be here.
And how are you doing?
I don't know why I was dragged here on my birthday.
Okay, let's start the crowd, on a day like this,
I should be. My party dragged me. This morning, I should be having some very good breakfast. Or I should be in bed watching Good Morning Ghana. But for God and country, we are here, and I'm happy to be here.
Right. Happy New Year.
Many happy returns. I think that was this is my first time being here in 2026.
2026, yes. What a way to start the year.
What a way to start the year. And there's so much to talk about. I mean, it's only in NDC that if you speak for the NDC and the government, even on your birthday, you can come on the show because it's all good news. I don't remember any MPP person going on the show on the birthday because
I was on the show on my birthday.
You don't remember. Normally there isn't much to say. I was on the show on my
birthday last year.
Last year when?
16 December. I was on the show.
By the time you lost the election already, that wasn't anything. But it shows you how collectively proud we are. To be associated with the NDC. And I keep telling young people, I think I'm about the only woman who mentions her age openly. But today I've been told not to mention. All my friends are saying
I'll mention it.
She's a child.
I'll do it for you.
But I keep telling many young people.
No, she's not a child. She may be young, but she's not a child.
When they see her, you know how she talks and behaves. So when she was on the campaign,
you mean even though
like, oh, so you're a child.
You mean even though she's 36, she sounds 45 to 50 in terms of her brain,
Maybe 55
and experiences.
or 60.
Whichever one. But I think that let me use the opportunity to tell many young people. To tell many young people that if you ever want to be associated with a political party, if you ever want certain opportunities in life that are related to political parties, I think that the NDC is the party you should associate with. In the NDC, what you need are two: yourself and your capabilities. You don't need connection. You don't need your parents to come from a certain lineage. You don't need to be from a certain family. You just have to demonstrate that you have something to contribute to the NDC. So my story is a story that should inspire many young people, more so many women. Many times people reach out and say they want to do politics and just some small thing and then they chicken out. But I think that I'm proud to be associated with the NDC, and I cannot thank the NDC enough for the opportunities. I cannot thank President Mahama enough for an opportunity. I remember the first time he called me on phone to say that I've been watching you. I was like, are you sure?
Oh, really?
And that's what the NDC offers you. So on my birthday, I choose to invite many young people to join the NDC, because I'm sure by the end of the show, the analysis will show why the NDC is a better political party, why as a group of people we should agree that the NPP for the longest time should not have access to the resources of the state because they haven't demonstrated that they have the capacity. But that will be for the show. And thank you to everyone who has wished me. I woke up at 12 midnight and my party people, they just love me too much as I love them. And I want to say a big
Can you count the number of calls you've received so far?
I can't count. And no, I can't count.
It's a lot.
Now I feel like I'm being punished because you have to respond to each and every one. But it shows the love, and I'm so grateful. I think that 36 years of my life, I can only but say that God has been good.
Yeah. Anyway, so once again, happy birthday, Beatrice Annan, and you've done very well for yourself. I mean, I remember one of the conversations you and I had where you were telling me about, when the conversation started privately about you going public, to speak for your party, the dilemma that you found yourself in, because of course you've always been helping, supporting your party, but you were doing that in the quiet. But then you said somebody spotted you and said, look, you need to start going on TV and speaking for the party, and that's when your story began.
I think it took Sammy 7 years.
Wow. In convincing you?
Yes, because I used to do it when we were in tech. So myself, Sammy,
so your politics started?
Oh, yes. Politics started for me at age 18.
Hey!
So, yes.
What? This was what, after SS?
Yes, right after senior high school. That's what many people didn't know. So even from level 100 in tech, we used to battle it out.
I see.
And you see, for those of us who did our communication in Ashanti region, you see that we have a different approach because the terrain was very tough and harsh.
Okay.
And then after, I had like a 10-year plan. So after school, the plan was to pause, go to law school, make babies, and then later come back.
Yeah.
So when I was done, and I called him that I'm done.
You're ready.
Put me on air. So
wow.
But it's not so much about me. I think that today.
No. Relax. You know why? You're not going to run away from this. You're not going to run away from this.
We have so much to talk about.
Don't worry. The good thing is that we only have 2 topics today, and in fact, the 2 topics are interrelated. So would have time. Unlike, if we had, say, 3 topics, then we'd say we have to rush through. But today's your birthday. I would have done the same for Laura too. So, but just briefly, looking back. So first of all, do you come from an NDC family?
She didn't start the beginning well. She has to tell you the real beginning of her politics.
You see, hold on. So do you come from an NDC family?
My mother is NDC through and through and through. My mother is.
And how about your dad?
Like a pro-Rawlings.
Oh, pro-Rawlings.
My dad is not. He's apolitical. Yeah. He's not really political.
He can't be bothered.
Yes, my mommy is the woman who will go to the rally. And when I was growing up, when we go to Ada, they don't say go and switch on the light.
Right.
They say JJ, which means go and switch on JJ, my God, for me.
Hey!
So somehow
Rawlings was like their God.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So somehow my mom is very pro-Rawlings, not just my mom.
Okay.
In my family, maternally, I don't know a single MPP person.
Hey.
It's a taboo.
Wow.
I think it's a taboo. Wow. Oh, it's a taboo.
Wow.
It's a taboo.
Everybody.
No, it's sure. I think my aunties and my uncles, I don't know of any. Maybe there is, but I don't know of any.
Oh, that's fine.
Yes, I don't know of any. My father's side.
So that's where you drew your inspiration from, isn't it?
No, not necessarily, because they are not politicians. But I used to listen to Radio Gold, Alhaji a lot when I was young. And I felt
the days of Alhaji Bature.
Yes, and I felt it was very amusing. Like these panelists, they know everything. They have an opinion on every subject. They know economics. They know a bit of everything. So I was like, well, maybe it's an interesting thing. And I also wanted to be a lawyer. And I realized that almost all the politicians were lawyers. So somehow, that's how I developed the interest.
I see. Wow.
Well, I don't like one-on-one.
let's we just want to celebrate you small. But anyway, maybe we would have some time to have a more comprehensive conversation about the beginnings, you know, and how you.
tell you the real beginning.
No, you know what Laura keeps saying. You have to tell you. So because everybody in my family was NDC, like my mother, my aunties, my uncle. I was like, no, maybe I should be MPP so that I'll tease or we will be different.
Really?
So I remember when we arrived on Tech Campus the very first time, I went for TESCON meeting, and they were very tribal, with all apologies to them. I remember Gift Yowari and Nana B, very tribalistic statement, and I was gone. And I was like, nah, then I don't feel belong. And then the next week, I went for Tain meeting. And it didn't matter where you came from. It didn't matter you were gone. It didn't matter you were...
edited the story.
I'm not edited. If you know, you can fill it in. And I was like, nah, then I'm born NDC. because on a more serious note, I remember I went to the meeting with a certain gentleman called Wolanyo.
Okay.
And then he raised his hand to speak. And Nanabe openly told him to keep quiet, because I think they didn't believe that because he was Ewe, he could be MPP.
Okay.
So after I looked at it and I said, Masa, let's go and find. And this was even...
Which year was this?
This was in 2009. Yes, this was in 2009.
Okay.
When President Mills had just won an election. And then I said, nah, there is no need being different. I just have to be what my family is. And I don't have regrets for it. I don't have regrets. So I even contested team president when I was campus. Yeah, after Sami JP.
And then what happened?
I lost. Yeah, so it's been, but you see, many people assume that, you know, because she started TV sometime in 2021 or so.
She's new.
I'm new. I think that I knew a lot of people. They used to come to campus. We used to do door to door. I remember one of the days door to door, they poured water on us in Nsuta because we were NDC. In Ashanti region, it was tough.
Wow.
You know, so I respect people in NDC in Ashanti region. I know that the story has changed, but even with lecturers and things, but those experiences I don't discount. I think I'm very happy because it made me tough, and I don't think there is anything that bothers me. I think in life I have only one problem, which is a Momo problem. It's a Momo problem.
You know, this morning I heard her talking to someone and say, hey, don't you know today is my birthday? Do the needful. And I think the person screamed and said, hey, you know. Anyway, so Loratu, I want us to do this, and as we always do when the year begins, we just as we reflect on our lives, we also have to reflect on the governance, especially when we're looking, of course, on the back of a change of government in 2024, and of course, officially in 2025, January 7th. And so we would want to do a bit of reflection, of course, the second coming of John Dramani Mahama. But we don't want to spend too much time on that because, like I said, we have some more substantive issues to deal with. But I want to do things a bit differently today. So Dr. Cassius Mahama, who is the secretary to the president, has written an opinion, a piece, where he's doing his own reflections on the 1 year of President John Dramani Mahama. I want to read that article, not the entire article, but some portions of it, to sort of set the context for our own conversational reflections. You don't necessarily have to comment on what he said, but your own reflections and so on. The lost elections, how you felt going forward, how things have looked at. And since this administration came in terms of the economy, in terms of rule of law, etc., etc. So let me read this. Okay, so before I go ahead, I'm told that Collins, who's the MP for Central North, I believe so, yes. Now he sent this to Ifija Kwabre North, yes, I wanted to get that correctly. So it says, tell Beatrice that I was on the show on my birthday too. Why? Happy birthday to her. So essentially what Collins is saying is actually, you haven't done anything new, and then there are others who...
But we tell them we don't remember.
You don't remember that? The only one remember is...
There wasn't nothing to talk about.
I also told her on my birthday last week. She never remember.
Talk about what?
You never remember.
Forgot the country.
The dollar being 17.
She always has a way of editing.
I know, right? Anyway, so I want us to look at this article by Dr. Callistus Mahama. Now, it says 1 year of President John Dramani Mahama, leadership that rebuilds trust. Now, it says on 7 January 2025, President John Dramani Mahama was sworn into office following a decisive mandate from the Ghanaian people in the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. 1 year on, the question is no longer whether the government has settled into office, but whether it has meaningfully reset the tone, direction, and credibility of governance in Ghana, a government that chose repair before applause. An unglamorous but necessary priority has defined the first year of President Mahama's administration stabilization. In contrast to past approaches that relied heavily on optimistic rhetoric, this government confronted economic reality early and honestly. Debt restructuring was completed not as a public relations exercise, but as a prerequisite for national recovery. Fiscal discipline was re-established as policy, not posture. This shift mattered. A signal to citizens, investors, development partners, and civil society that government or Ghana was ready to replace denial with data and spin with realism. The government's credibility has rested not on promises of instant relief, but on transparent communication about constraints, trade-offs, and timelines. Public sentiment reflects this realism. The poll shows that 66% of respondents are satisfied with the 2026 budget, while 56% report that their standard of living has improved compared to a year earlier. Even more telling, 70% are optimistic that their living conditions will improve in the coming year. Confidence, once badly eroded, is being rebuilt through candor. Okay. Then he talks about leadership, performance, and national confidence. He said approval of the president's performance remains strong and geographically broad-based. The poll records a 67% job approval rating, unchanged from the previous quarter, with majorities approving in all regions, including traditionally opposing aligned areas. Among floating voters, approval stands at 69%, underscoring confidence across partisan lines. This is not the result of dramatic gestures or headline-driven governance. Instead, it reflects consistency in leadership, clarity of intent, and visible seriousness in delivery during the administration's first year. Speeches as instruments of governance, not performance. One underappreciated feature of this first year has been the role of presidential communication. The many speeches delivered, state addresses, policy launches, international forums, regional engagement were not ceremonial fillers, they were instruments of governance. Across these interventions ran consistent threads: accountability, institutional reform, social equity, economic sovereignty, and national cohesion. The president did not speak differently to different audiences. What he said at home aligned with what he said abroad. What he told Parliament resonated with what he told civil society. This coherence reinforced trust. Citizens could trace policy intent from words to action. In an era where political speech often aims to impress, President Mahama's speeches aim to explain, persuade, and when necessary, caution. That restraint has proven to be a strength. And then he talks about governance, integrity, and fight against corruption. And he says on governance and accountability, public opinions point to a gradual restoration of confidence. 56% of respondents believe corruption has improved, while 60% say the government is doing enough to fight corruption, an improvement over the previous quarter. These perceptions matter. They suggest that institutional reforms, respect for oversight bodies, and a renewed emphasis on accountability are being noticed by citizens, not through slogans, but through observable shifts in practice. And then he talks about environmental protection of the Galamsey questing. The poll also challenges prevailing narratives on illegal mining, contrary to claims of deterioration. Only 37% of respondents believe Galamsey has worsened, while 47% disagree. Furthermore, 56% believe the government is doing enough to combat the menace, including in mining-affected regions. This indicates public recognition of a more structured, enforcement-driven, and coordinated approach to environmental protection. And then he talks about international experience applied, not advertised. He says President Mahama's extensive international experience acquired through years of diplomatic engagement and multilateral leadership has quietly shaped governance decisions in his first year. Rather than importing fashionable reforms wholesale, the administration has adapted best practices to local realities. Engagements with international financial institutions and development partners have been marked by firmness without hostility, cooperation without dependency. Ghana has re-entered the global arena as a serious interlocutor, not a supplicant.
earning respect through clarity and consistency. And then he talks about civil society, democratic dialogue, and constitutional renewal. And he says perhaps one of the most telling shifts has been the government's relationship with civil society critics that have not been dismissed. They have been engaged. Oversight institutions have been allowed to function. Public losses have been acknowledged, not obscured. This openness extends to constitutional reform. The poll shows majority support for key proposals, including 1. Election of MMDC is 63%, separation of ministerial and parliamentary roles 58%, extension of the presidential term to 5 years 57%, reduction of presidential age threshold 56%, abolition of death penalty 59%, restriction of political campaigns to 120 days 57%. These figures suggest a public appetite for profound democratic renewal and institutional strengthening. And then the last two, a generational mandate. The demographic signal is equally striking. Gen Z and millennial voters now constitute nearly 78% of the electorate, with 64% expressing a preference for younger leadership. This reinforces the importance of forward-looking policies anchored on opportunity, inclusion, and long-term national transformation. Does goodwill end, not inherited? That's the last but not the least. 1 year on, the goodwill enjoyed by President Mahama's government is not partisan, accidental, or manufactured. It has been earned through transparency, accountability, consistency, and seriousness of purpose. The work ahead remains demanding. Structural reform is never completed in a single year, but the foundation laid over the past 12 months suggests a presidency focused not on managing new cycles, but on rebuilding the state. History will ultimately judge this administration on outcomes, yet even at this early stage, one conclusion is clear. Ghana is once again being governed with intent, integrity, and a steady hand. Beatrice, I know how close you are with Dr. Callistus Mohammed. I think that publicly you've always praised him and commended him for his, what you always term as his sterling leadership as Secretary to President. And I think that historically, and I stand to be corrected, this is the first time I think that a Secretary to the President has written an opinion, a piece, I stand to be corrected, honestly, on how he sees the performance of his boss at the helm of affairs. What do you think has motivated Dr. I mean, I'm not saying you speak for him, but I know that you also.
Actually speak for him.
Oh, you speak for him. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you speak for him. But I'm asking the right person at this school. What do you think they have motivated him to do this?
Okay, I think that.
And then you can dovetail that into your own reflections.
Yes,
1 year on.
I think that he played a very pivotal role prior to assuming power. He was the office administrator of President Mahama. My first encounter with him when I joined the team was when I had to sit in the car he sits in. And I didn't know that he was such disciplined, I mean very strict. He's my boss. I laugh so much, and yet I don't laugh when it comes to discipline. So right. he stripped this reflection in the capacity of what he saw in opposition, and then 1 year on as the person who authors everything the president has to alter, except when it is to his counterpart. I think he sits as a place where, with the benefit of hindsight, he understands what President Mahama is doing, the kind of intentionality. And I work directly under Dr. Callistus.
Okay.
And so on the 4th floor, we are the only 3 people there. Okay, Senior Marietta, so it makes us 4.
Okay.
And so you see that in this administration, President Mahama has one aim: to leave Ghana in a state where nobody should be able to take us back to where we were before last year, 2025. As a matter of rule, nothing lasts more than 24 hours on the president's desk and on my boss's desk.
I see.
And so whether letters from ministries, departments, or agencies, if you look at it, sometimes the incoming is dated 24th and the outgoing is still dated 24th.
I see.
And so it is that efficiency. President Mahama is always meeting every minister at very regular intervals for briefing. And you know, there is something maybe many people don't know about him. He actually is very active on social media. He reads every comment. He monitors traditional media. And so he's not the president you can lie to. And then you hear things like, I was misled, or I didn't know about this. He knows everything happening. And so you realize that you cannot come and lie to the president in his briefing. And because Dr. Callistus is such a disciplinarian, he doesn't have, I always laugh at him, he doesn't have weird ambitions, and he doesn't want to have Christmas on a yacht or go and have all these things we used to experience in the past. The two of them are too much of workaholics. And so it puts stress on everybody. They don't sleep. The president doesn't sleep. And because the president doesn't sleep, the secretary will not sleep. And because the secretary is not sleeping, the chief of staff is not sleeping. And so the minister cannot sleep. I can even tell you that Friday is a holiday, but they are all working.
Do you sleep?
I don't sleep either. Look at my eyes. It's not fair to me.
Callistus won't let you sleep.
They won't let you sleep because
Wow.
they are not sleeping. And it tells you that this time, President Mahama would not leave anything to chance. There is so much intentionality. Policies are well coordinated. Everything being done by any MDA or MMDA or ministry, department and agency must be aligned to something. That's why he says that it is, many things are as a result of policy decisions. They are not just knee-jerk. We don't think that this is right, then you rush to it. And it's also the kind of open door policy where the president and the secretary, they are too accessible. I always tell Dr. Callistus, please stop picking strange calls or something so that some of us can also be powerful. You know, they are so accessible. The president is accessible to everybody that he was accessible to before coming to power. My boss is accessible to everybody. And the moment the complaints come, they act on it. I told you, the rule is that nothing must last 24 hours unless they want to consult further or somebody's output is delaying. And so you see that level of efficiency. I remember one chief director in the ministry was telling me that he has never seen this level of efficiency in his about 25 years of being a chief director, moving from one ministry to the other, the kind of efficiency, because the thing arrives today and then the next day you have it. Sometimes when they call, we are so dead sure that it's been dispatched. And I want to say that we must all be proud of the president that we have. We must be appreciative that in a time such as this, we have President Mahama, who is our president, more so because he's been president before. And so with the benefit of hindsight, with the benefit of what happened yesterday, the kind of intentionality that he exhibits. You know, President Mahama is the president that reads his speech before. He knows exactly what he wants to say. And sometimes I watch in awe as a young person learning the kind of efficiency and the levels of effectiveness. So I'm not surprised about the results we are getting, knowing what I know. I think that he has a great team from ministers to the CEOs that have been appointed. And there is one inside joke we say that if you mess up, it doesn't matter that you are his favorite, you will be fired. And so sometimes when something comes to your desk, the first question you ask is, what is my capacity? What is the response? Because it doesn't matter. President Mahama calls me, oh, my first daughter. But do not be deceived by that. The day you do something wrong, he will sacrifice you for the good of the Ghanaian people. And I think that that is a virtue that we should celebrate. We didn't see that in the past administration. I think that Nana Addo was not advised well. They literally briefed him in a way that turned him into a clearing agent trying to whitewash every wrong, trying to sidestep a number of procedures and trying to give the appointees the impression that if you did something wrong, you are covered. You don't have that in this government. And that is why 365 days, 1 year in power, you don't have any scandal recorded, because every appointee is mindful of the fact that you will be sacrificed. In his New Year message, he did indicate that no one appointee is a sacred cow, and that the resources of this nation belong to the people of Ghana. And so if power gets into your head, if you think that merely because you've been privileged to be given an appointment, you have access to things that do not belong to you, then watch out. And you know the beautiful thing, sometimes I don't know if I were president, I'll behave as humble as President Mahama, because nothing has changed. I was on the campaign with them, visiting 276 constituency about 3 times. I mean, all around. Nothing has changed. In fact, he has even become more humble. And so if you have somebody who can crack the whip when it matters, it's so efficient. There is even this picture they joke with on social media where you see his table and there is nothing on the table. That is a level of efficiency. And then you have somebody who understands the issues of governance, has the benefits of hindsight. I think that we should be grateful. I can understand that the duty of the opposition party is to criticize, but I think that the NPP is doing a very poor job. I think that maybe they have to go back and reorganize and come back. They are doing a terrible, poor job. I've never seen a group of people struggle when they communicate in power, and they struggle even the more when they communicate in opposition. Because in opposition, you should be very eloquent, because then you don't have any burden. But you see, they mismanage this country so bad that they have lost the moral right to talk about anything. And so, and especially not just anything, especially when everything you talk about is 5 times better than you left it. And I think that we have to be very proud. But while we are being proud, one thing that is not lost on President Mahama is that he has a 4-year mandate. And while the macroeconomic indicators have shown that our economy is recovering and is working towards sustainability, he's so passionate about jobs for young people. He's so passionate about how to make the lives of women better. He's very pro. I mean, sometimes when they bring the boards and the representations from all these agencies are men, sometimes he said, take it back. Let them try and bring women. Then they say that we can't find the women. The women say they don't want to be here. But so he's very passionate about young people. He's passionate about women. And I think that it would take the collaboration of every citizen and the support to build this country. And I say that to rebuild trust, like my boss puts it. It will take us understanding that let's not make the mistake that we made in 2016, where this man was on the mission of transforming Ghana. And then people said, you know what, let's have one rhetoric. He's incompetent. These days, I don't hear them say he's incompetent. I don't hear any NPP communicators say that he's incompetent. In fact, they haven't found a phrase yet. Their communication...
What does this picture remind you?
Yes, this is Manado's desk. And then this is my boss's desk. There is nothing lasts 24 hours. He's very efficient. And these are all, I'm sure, incomings that the president...
And then this was John Mahama putting a phone through to...
Yes.
So this is Nanado speaking to John.
So you can see that even from the table, the results were reflected. Whatever happens indoor will reflect outdoor. And we don't take for granted the mandates. And when I say this as someone who works closely with President Mahama. He does not underestimate the the enormous expectations of young people on him. And he understands that it was important to diagnose the problem of the economy, begin to rebuild the economy. And when you start attaining fiscal sustainability, you try to rope in this. For the first time, you have over 20,000 people in the security service being employed. We acknowledge that is woefully inadequate, given the number of young people who don't have jobs. I'm a young person. Maybe after today, I'm no longer a youth. But as at yesterday, I was a youth. So I understand, and we recognize. We will not say it that we've created 2 million jobs, more than the number of people unemployed. I think that what is refreshing and what ought to be refreshing to the people of Ghana is that there is a new leadership that acknowledges that we are here to serve. We acknowledge that we are here because of the people of Ghana. We recognize that no matter what we do, there is still more room for improvement. We haven't said that if we solve all the problems today, what would we do tomorrow? No, we recognize that even when you solve the exchange rate issue, you have an issue of unemployment. While you're solving the unemployment, you have an issue of maternal mortality. While you're solving maternal mortality. So the issues are nuanced, multi-complex, and we recognize that. But keep faith with President Mahama. Trust the process. And like Dr. Kalisus authored in the article, this is a leadership that is policy-driven. This is a leadership that is not about the PR gimmick. This is a leadership that is not built on sloganeering. This is a leadership that we want to see real transformation in the lives of many young people. We recognize that over 76% of voters are now Gen Zs and maybe millennials. And so we recognize that the dynamics have changed, and there is a conscious effort to respond in the way that the young people of this country will be satisfied.
Okay.
So keep faith, trust the process, and everything will be fine.
Okay. Laura, reflections to 2025, yourself, party, Mohammed II coming back, put all of that together for me.
Listening to Beatrice, deja vu, because first years of every administration comes with all these niceties. I mean, it's like welcoming a guest into the house. But listening to her further, it's refreshing to note that they've learned their lessons from their first term. Because, I mean, obviously, the outlook of a recent candidate is definitely not the same as a first-time candidate. And we have a president who lost an election and has come back. So if he's learning lessons, she mentioned about he reading his speech and all that. That's good to hear, because he's lost his pages before at an ECOWAS meeting. I mean, it was quite a big embarrassment to all of us. So if they are learning all these lessons, I mean, it's good for us as a people. I mean, Beatrice mentioned security agencies employing. No. And that's the point where I may depart a bit from here. One of the key conversations that came up was employment, especially youth employment in 2024. I mean, statistics didn't really favor, even with all the interventions that the administration then had put in place, all the innovations. Still, there was a huge need for youth employment. So that's what informed the 133 formula that they made their flagship, if I may. And a year down the line, we haven't really heard much about it. So if Beatrice says so, for the first time, 20,000 people have been employed in the security agencies. We can't keep doing the old things and expect new results. So, I mean, 1 year in power, it's not different from when, I can't talk much about when President Rawlings was in power, But at least I can talk about the first year of President Kufuor. I can talk about the first year of President Mills, talk about the first year of President Akufo-Addo, and the first year, even the first year of President Mahama I. I mean, it was all nice and all. So 1 year is not such a long time, in all fairness. And we will. But they made certain promises, like the 120-day contracts. How many of them? Trying to do a cursory research. Even with that, they made a mistake in the numbering. So it's 26, but it's actually 25 of them. From the little that I saw from Ghana Fact and all those other places, they've been able to fulfill 13 of those 25, and it's beyond 120 days. So what is being done about those things? The 30%, because he promised to set up his cabinet fully, run a lean government. Yes, he's achieved that, but the 30% female quota, Beatrice mentioned about female, he still hasn't met the 30%. Because even though the Act, the Affirmative Action Act, talks about 30%, I think we can do better than that. So it's still around, I think, 23, 24, thereabouts. And there are indications that there's going to be a reshuffling sometime soon. So all those things need to be factored in. I mean, when you come to the macroeconomics bit, it looks good. And it's similar to President Akufo-Addo's 2017. You remember when growth doubled from 3.4 to almost 7 point, above 7.7, doubled. The CD depreciated only 4%. So first years, I mean, because of the goodwill and all that, all come up to show. But the promises they made, the women's banking to boost women businesses, how far with that? I mean, the minimum capital for a bank is some 400 million now. In the first year, the 2025, I think they gave some 50-something million. 2026 budget is 400 million. We are in 2026 now. We need to see all those things. I mean, we need to see the 1, 2, 3, the 24-hour economy moving from just a framework. Now they say it's not a policy, it's a framework. We're moving from that planning stage and all that, so that everybody, because if the country moves, it moves for all of us. It makes it easier for the next administration to make good use of money from the citizen. Like I always say, no government or no president comes in with their own money to run the nation. It's the taxpayers' money. So if things can be done, continued and improved to make it better, why not? It's something that we must all encourage. But with the things the current administration said, they set certain standards. With the kind of demands they made from the previous administration, with the kind of things they said, those are the things that will be measured by, apart from their manifesto. And they even had a lot of documents. They had the manifesto, they had the youth manifesto, they had the women manifesto, they had the 120-day contract. So there are a lot of promises. And apart from that, there were some promises that were made on campaign platforms, you know. But all these things, the fundamental thing is, with all the microeconomics indicators doing well, with the stabilization of the dollar and all that, sustainability is key. But the fundamental thing is, how do these things reflect in the life of the ordinary Ghanaian?
Okay.
Yes, the dollar has been stabilized. Yes, those importing those who go and purchase things now purchase them less. when they bring them into their shops, is the ordinary citizen able to purchase at the retail points, right? The basics that we deal with. There's been increment in electricity. There's been increment in water tariffs. I take my patriotism to my choice of what I consume, right? I buy my fuel from Goa, right? I service my car at Goa. Yes, fuel is low, but when you go and service your car, you see a vast increase in the oil, the engine oil, the brake fluids and all that. So yes, fuel has come down, but the other things that make a car functional, how are we dealing with all those things? Water. I buy G water, and I can show you where I buy it. For the longest time, I was buying it for 28 cedis. Let's even say the whole of 2025 till just last week, I went and it was 30 cedis. So if the government's water is being increased and you are telling me prices are going down, things are becoming easier, how do you expect me to reconcile with this? So as for the excitement and all that, I mean, until this year, the last time we had a single-digit inflation was 2019. That was during President Akufo-Addo's regime. So, I mean, if it moves well, but the sustainability of it, it shouldn't go. The fight against Galamsey, I think it's been more talk than teeth. You know, what are we doing about it? Now we're having conversations about Gold Board having losses, right? And I strongly support a bipartisan probe because they should.
We'll get there. We'll
Yes,
get there. It's a whole conversation, so we'll get there.
Probe, you know, so all these things, yes. I mean, there's goodwill. People will see it from their own perspective. You don't expect Beatrice or her boss to say anything contrary to what they've said. Because when you are in there, you see the things you do, you see the effort you put in. But the sustainability of those efforts, how they translate to make life better for the ordinary Ghanaian. Because some of the things that went against the MPP government, Nana Akufo-Addo's regime, were not necessarily issues that, it was people's lives, how they translated some of the policies, some of the decisions that were taken, how it reflected in their lives. That's what made them take some of the decisions. That's what brought all the rage and all that. I mean, you come and sit on sets because of a policy or a decision government has taken. You come and sit on sets and you are being shown elderly citizens picketing. You know, all those things went against us. But they are all taking shape now, and things are moving. I don't think if things were not, all those measures were not put in place, some of the successes we are chalking, but we'll give it to them. Yes, stabilize the dollar, but the correlation between all that you're saying and how I survive, the basics that I survive on, water, food, and electricity. Let me use it in the context of how we survive. Even if you talk to Gen Alphas and some Gen Zs, they think that internet is a basic life necessity. You know, so all those, how does it translate and how can it be sustained? And let's also not forget that we are still on an IMF program. So the real test will be when we exit this program. And that affected the previous administration much because just as we're getting our feet, all these external things started coming in. We don't wish that for the world anymore. We don't wish that for any administration because it's not a good thing to experience. But how do we sustain these gains? How do we make it the lives of ordinary Ghanaians better? That is fundamentally why we all go and campaign. We all put manifestos together. We all put make promises to come and serve the people of Ghana.
Okay.
And I think that's what these, if they are learning, Beatrice and her boss and all the others are learning from past administrations and doing a critical analysis of first years, even second years, they'll tone down this excitement and focus on sustaining the gains that we are seeing.
So, Beatrice, she talks about Gold Board. I want us to go there.
Yeah, but before we go to Gold Board, I think that Loretta makes...
Okay, sorry. Well, let's take a break. Asquad, I don't want to interrupt you when you start.
That's fine.
Yeah, so you're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. Please stay with us.
Start your kids' day the right way, filled with confidence to take on any challenge. Pepsodent Kids contains the right amount of fluoride and sugar acid protection to care for their developing gums and teeth. Grab either orange or strawberry so they brush with the sweet flavor they love morning and evening. Pepsodent Kids, giving your children a bright smile for a brighter future.
Are you a headmaster, headmistress, parent, teacher, or an educator looking for high-quality textbooks for preschool, primary, and junior high school students? Look no further than Advocate Publishing Company. Advocate Publishing Company is a leading publisher of educational materials in Ghana that publishes very engaging, interactive, and comprehensive textbooks that meet the needs of students, teachers, and parents. Our textbooks are thoroughly published to make learning fun and easy. They are also designed to stimulate critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity in students. Make Advocate Publishing your preferred choice for all your educational needs. Explore our range of textbooks and educational resources. Visit us at the old GNTC yard near Kingsway, Accra. You can contact us on 0503 786 776 or 02408 06354, also 0531 600 360, and connect with us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Advo Publishing. Don't settle for less. Choose the best. Advocate Publishing Company, empowering young minds one textbook at a time. Thinking Publishing, think Advocate Publishing.
In a world where everything is connected, your business's security is only as strong as its weakest link. The growing threat of cybercrime has become an unescapable reality. In 2025 alone, the projected cost of cybercrime is expected to grow to $10 trillion globally, with small-medium businesses disproportionately targeted. Cyber threats have become increasingly sophisticated, widespread, and invisible, placing unequipped organizations at risk of massive damages in a matter of seconds. Meet Virtual InfoSec Africa, Ghana's Tier 1 certified managed security service provider. We don't just monitor threats, we predict, prevent, and respond 24/7. At Virtual InfoSec Africa, we deliver bold and cost-effective cybersecurity solutions tailored to your organization's size and complexity. Whether you're a startup or a national institution, our services scale with your needs. We offer 24/7 SOC monitoring, early warning threat intelligence, managed detection and response, digital forensics and incident response, and predictive analysis and threat hunting. From endpoint protection to dark web forensics, we secure every layer of your digital ecosystem. Why wait for a breach to act? Join the ranks of high institutions who trust Virtual InfoSec Africa to secure their future. Start your 3-month free trial of our early warning threat intelligence platform today. For more inquiries, contact 055-689-2086 or visit our website at www.virtualinfosecafrica.com.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, Asamo.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Friend me Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Friend me once now.
Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain was key to double the action. Sasso Quell. Yeah, go to my Sassanunia. Sasso, come and tom preco.
Ama, nansi mi jeno wo bin enko ye kwao. Ama ma ye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kra. Ama me kunu ni me into kwankwa. Oh, you right. Enye mo ko. Give us GC mixture and any capsules. Aye num boom. En ho asem na mo kana. E boa emma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Ya, we be boa wo kunu. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya na ninti sese ni oyi chop mo. GC mixture and a capsule.
A pin for a batter, one more menu for one and Quadawi if you do
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Charcoal toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Kel Charcoal toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, a who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to Amame Manfo. Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is several buying, a man is swing, and a sansu mama hoto so a will beg you.
Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
You're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. My guests are here. We've been having a very interesting conversation reflecting on 2025 governance, the rule of law, economy, etc. And my guests have been weighing on it. And Beatrice just has a quick rebuttal to some things that Lorato said, because I want us to move to Gold Board. Big conversations we had there. Beatrice, you can do this very briefly for me so we can move to a Gold Board. Yes.
We will, but it's important to say that Lorato should not make the mistake and compare 2025 to 2017.
Why?
The dynamics are different, and that is what they failed to do in all these analyses. Okay. At the time they came into government, the dollar to CD was just about 4 CD 20 pesos. The effects were not the same. Even in the 4 years that she claims they were basking in glory, the CD depreciated by 4.7%. We are talking about a CD appreciation of cumulatively 40.7%. It has never happened in the history of the Fourth Republic that the currency or our CD would appreciate. It has never happened in the history of the Fourth Republic. So you cannot compare these two. Then Lorato says that, you know what, although, I mean, she used the wrong expression that we stabilized the CD. We haven't stabilized the currency. The currency has appreciated against major, and I think that we should use the right terminologies and not, play all nice. Because if you look at the structure of our economy, it is not easy to even stabilize our currency, not to talk of appreciating. So that is no mean an achievement. Sometimes they say it in a very lackadaisical manner and make it look like, oh, the city is performing well, and no.
Beatrice, both are correct. It has appreciated, it has stabilized.
Yes, but you have to talk about the appreciation first.
Okay. That's
yes,
valid.
It has stabilized means that...
It's appreciated and
it
has
stabilized means that where we took it from, which would have been, even if we were using the Bank of Ghana rate, 14 cedis, 30 pesos or so, even if we're using that rate, it's a stabilized means that you're buying the CD at 14.
Right.
So you cannot say that both are accurate. They are not.
So what I'm saying is that today, I think it's about 10.46 or so. Of course, on the forex markets, maybe close by 11 point something.
No, it's not up to 11. It's 10.45.
No, that's interbank.
Yes, interbank.
I'm talking about forex market.
Okay.
It's about 11 something. No, there's always a small difference. Yes. I'm saying that it has been here for a very long time.
Yes,
that's what I mean by the stability.
Before it got here.
No, it was somewhere. And then you dropped
Yes, before it got here. So it's not as if we are enjoying relative stability where we took it off. So that point has to be made. Right. Then he says that, you know what, even though all these macroeconomic indicators are great, it is not reflecting in the lives of the people. I think that we must be very honest that we have seen some improvement. Again, if you look at the structure of our economy, normally what we would have been asking for is relative stability. Here you are having prices of goods reduce, a reduction. Loratu is a Muslim. I didn't even know that Hajj was such a big thing for Muslims. Today, can you tell the people in the Muslim community who want to go to Hajj and who left for Hajj last year that there is no effect in the appreciation of the cedi? That we are being told that even for this year, Hajj will be 62,000 cedis, moving from your 75,000 and above. So you cannot say that. Before you left power, with all the noise about gold for oil, what was the price of a liter of fuel? Almost 15 cedis on the average. Today, it's between 10 to 11. So you cannot say that you are not. So if you buy your fuel at Goil, just compare it to when you were in power and see whether it has, your life is better off or not. Or maybe the goodies are not coming. So when you do the extrapolation, she's feeling it more. You cannot talk about it when people are saying that a year by this time, in 2024, they were buying a ton of iron rods for 10,000 cedis and above. And today they are buying the same for 6,600. It cannot be the same story that you are comparing. Rice. This Christmas, someone came to dash me rice. And when I was also dashing the rice, my auntie B said, hey, we don't want rice, so we want other things because these days rice is so cheap, we can afford rice.
Can you imagine?
That is it. And so, and like I'm saying, in all these, Moro, we have not held a Kenke and Wachi party. So she shouldn't make it look like we are so excited. In fact, in our discussion, in President Mohammed's speeches, one thing that he recognizes most is sustainability.
Right.
We haven't done Kenke party to celebrate these successes. We are only saying that in contributing to the national discourse, let's not be dishonest about it. Okay. Let's not repeat the same things and make sweeping statements like we are not reflecting, we are not experiencing it. Because if you watch TikTok, maybe she doesn't like social media a lot. But if you go to X, if you go to Facebook, TikTok, many people recognize that there is so much work to be done. That we will not run away from. But many also recognize the gains that have been made. Just before the budget was read, the finance minister himself went to the market. And on this show, we discussed the sentiment of the market women. My mother is a market woman. She goes to Fishing Harbour, she goes to Ashiama Market. The story is not as it is. Maybe you may not want to applaud the NDC because you're an opposition party. And rightly so, we don't expect you to applaud us, even though we welcome you to be honest. But let's not create the impression that what is happening today, a similar thing happened in 2017. In 2025, did you hear any appointee charging people so they can share a seat with President Mahama?
Okay.
Did you hear that? Did you hear President Mahama's children converting bossed fuel into contaminated fuel and selling for their benefit? Have you heard that contracts have been awarded to cronies? Have you heard? So the story cannot be the same. Maybe they can take the discussion from a different angle. But let's not make it look like this is normal. Because if these economic gains were so easy to achieve, if they were just so fundamental and basic as the NPP wants us to believe, what happened to their economic messiah? What happened to the man who held lectures and propounded many economic theories? When the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. So today, if the exchange rate is glorifying the NDC, what should we be told about the fundamentals? We cannot, I mean, you may not want to give the NDC credit, and we don't even want the credit, because then again, we are not a party that we are so concerned about slogan and glory.
Okay.
But let the record reflect that this is not 2017.
All right.
You did not make gains. What you were doing was to say that, we were depreciating at a lower rate.
Okay.
We were growing at a lower rate. What we have is a complete turn around, where from haircut to a successful debt restructuring. You know, one beautiful thing, and I'm hoping we will get there, about the finance minister paying the interest on the Eurobond in December.
Right.
When he could have waited for January this year to do so. It shows you that you moved us from an economy where you could not pay your interest. From a yen-to-ya economy to an economy where we are paying our interest ahead of schedule. And even at the time when $709 million is exiting our shores, because you borrowed $11 billion in Eurobond, the city is even further appreciating. It's no mean an achievement. It's not, and here let me salute Ato Forson, the Honorable Ato Forson, and the governor of the Bank of Ghana. They don't even sleep. Ato Forson works on Saturdays and Sundays. The last time I heard him say he really sleeps on TV, I was like, I don't want to say it. You know, he doesn't even sleep. You had the finance minister that literally said every Ghanaian is a child. And I cannot leave my children and go, and we are a proud nation and all that. And you led us into an abyss. The kind of economy you inherited, it's not the same economy we inherited. It was literally a country, I mean, suffocating. People are breathing fresh air. People are having to think again. Businesses are having to plan for the whole year in 2025. Businesses can relatively plan that we will plan between 10 to 12 for the dollar. It didn't happen. At a point, their director of communication, Miracles, told us that we should even be grateful we are not buying the CD for 25 CDs. Why? Because if the NDC was in power, we would have been buying it for 25 CDs. These are not mere gains. And while we do not want to glorify, let's nobody just make it look like it is normal.
Okay.
So all these things were normal, and Dr. Bawumia didn't do it.
All right.
They were so easy like that, and it could be done in 1 year, and Dr. Bawumia didn't do all these things.
Okay. All right.
Laura. See, if it was maybe 5-6 years ago, the way she's expressing herself would have been attributed to arrogance of power.
Oh.
Right.
I didn't know.
Because when you try explaining issues, but because of the excitement, because of the kind of perception she has, because of the things they said, how black they painted the previous administration, she's refusing to listen to what I'm saying, what I said. Yes, I mentioned that the macroeconomic indicators look good, but we need to consider its sustainability. Today, saying the CD has stabilized is not correct. That's interesting. Right.
That's appreciated because
that's interesting.
Chronology is very important.
We are using semantics.
Chronology is very important.
Yes. It's not a lie that we are doing a first year reflection of the administration. We are not doing the 4-year tenure of President Mahama. We are doing the first year. And when you are doing analysis, you compare likes. You don't compare bananas to mangoes. That is why when indices are being projected or statistics are being given, they tell you a year like this, year to date and all that. She's one who has done economics. I haven't done economics beyond secondary school, so she should understand these things. Yes, by virtue of the fact that the exchange rates are stabilized, every other transaction that has to be done in foreign currency will see some decline. Fact. So yes, hard fares are pegged in dollars. So if the exchange rate is low, it will go low. Great. But what the point I was making was, 2017 is not a lie that growth doubled. They left it at 3 point something. We move it beyond 7, almost 8. Even if you disaggregate it, there were other sectors that even grew more than that. So that's the conversation we are having. But you're talking about iron rods. Yes, the people who have the wherewithal to build will feel it. You're talking about other high-ticket items. Business people, yes. But the question I asked was, yes, this person buys iron rods for lesser than they were. Great. It lessens the burden on the person. But when the person puts the infrastructure together, is the ordinary Ghanaian able to purchase or able to rent? Is rent low? That's why I made an example with the water. And this is not water produced by a private person. This is water produced by the Ghana Water Company. I was buying it at 28. It's now 30. So we talk about it. It looks good. City has stabilized. Things are looking good. Those who go and import things, because we still fundamentally an import economy. But when it trickles down to the man who has no woman, man or woman who has no business with iron rods, but has business with rents, how is that reflecting in the rent they are paying? When it comes to basics, food, electricity, water, how are these microeconomic indicators reflecting at the lowest level, at the retail point, at the survival level? That is the conversation we are having. But because she's so excited, which is normal for first-year administrations, because the goodwill is there and all that. But one thing that you should also have taken note of, I said, if it goes well, it goes for all of us. We all live here. If you have to buy something for less, it saves you money. You'll be happy. You can do other things. Nobody wishes this government ill, but it's the sustainability.
Okay.
And just as we took administration in 2017 on an IMF program, we're also taking this on an IMF program. And this 17th one is something that we have all committed to. We should not happen again.
Okay.
How much have you raised since you came in?
Okay.
If those measures were not put in place by the immediate past finance minister, I don't think some of these things that they are talking about
All right.
we'll be talking about them today.
All right. You know, these things, the Ghanaians who are watching us, they, I think that they recall everything. They recall last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So, I mean, we all can sit here and pontificate and say all kinds of things. So I'm sure that Ghanaians who have lived in, in fact, we call it lived experience. They know.
But they are the ones who hire and fire.
Exactly. So we'll take it from there. So, Beatrice and Laura, the
When
conversation
was the
about
last time you heard Russia, Ukraine? Have they stopped fighting?
you're bringing back this one.
I'm asking. Are they still
You
fighting?
can pretend it didn't have an impact.
The fight,
you can pretend it didn't have an impact.
That's fine. I just needed to know.
With the kind of
Anyway, so let's
with
go
the
on.
kind of letters the foreign minister is writing, let us all be
to Venezuela.
Be very careful.
Okay.
And not make some of these statements.
All right. Let's get on, ladies, with our next topic, which has to do with the domestic gold purchase program, which has been supported by Gold Board and, of course, under the supervision of, I won't call supervision, but with the support from the central bank and the IMF report. And the IMF's report that we apparently been losing some $240 million as a result of how we're going about this whole, what I'll call an economic transaction, a financial transaction. It's a matter that appears will not go away anytime soon. Now, if you look at today's Daily Post, and again, I've said it, this show is a newspaper-driven program, it's a newspaper analysis program. So if you look at the Daily Post for today, it says that Gold Board CEO dismisses claims of losses and clarifies IMF remarks on gold for reserve program. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi Esquire, has firmly rejected suggestions that the Gold Board has recorded losses under its operations amid public debate sparked by an International Monetary Fund country report on Ghana's gold for reserve program. Now, speaking to the media, Mr. Gyamfi clarified that the IMF's reported figure of $240 million loss relates to accounting assessment concerning the Bank of Ghana's gold for reserve program and not to the financial performance of Gold Board. He stressed that at no point did the IMF state that the Ghana Gold Board itself had incurred losses. The Gold Board has not made losses. We have made surpluses, and our financials have been published in accordance with the law. Adding that Gold Board's quarterly financial statements are publicly available on the institution's website for verification. Mr. Gyamfi explains that Gold Board established under the Ghana Gold Board Act is not a conventional commercial entity driven primarily by profits. Rather, it is a mandate-driven strategic institution created to generate foreign exchange for the country and support for accumulation of gold reserves by the Bank of Ghana. He notes that the distinction is clearly reflected in the law, which uses the term surplus instead of profits. Now, if Gold Board were to make losses in the discharge of its mandate, we would not shy away from that. We would account for it transparently and explain the benefits, if any, but the facts are clear. Gold Board has not made losses. Now, he says that Gold Board is barely 8 months old and under Section 76 of its Establishment Act, inherited the assets, liabilities, and contractual obligations of the defunct Precious Minerals Marketing Company Limited, PMMC, including arrangement with the Bank of Ghana under the Domestic Gold Purchase Program, which began in 2022. Addressing the IMF's assessment of losses under the Gold Board Reserve Program, Mr. Gyamfi said the matter relates to unresolved accounting and financial reporting treatment, which the Bank of Ghana is currently discussing with the IMF and its external auditors. Auntie B, you were asked to go and sell gold. How come you are making losses? Just go and sell the gold, take your money, and bring it back.
I know.
Why? B, what's happening? Talk to me.
So I would attempt to prefer an explanation. Sammy did a very fantastic job on Saturday explaining the issues. That because I also happen to be a board member of the central bank, I may be a bit limited in some of the things I can say.
Okay.
And so I would urge that you oblige me on that. But
All right.
I'll give as much information as I'm allowed to give to the people so that we can understand. First of all, it's important to appreciate that the $240 million cannot be described as a loss. In fact, I would describe that as an economic profit.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, and anybody who understands economics, I want to challenge any economics to come and say that $240 million cannot be described as an economic profit. And why do I say that? It is an economic profit because, and I'll do some analysis to demonstrate why I say that, to show that if you did not have this figure, which is unaudited for that matter, but for the purposes of the discussion, we would assume that the 214 is what it is. Right. If you did not have it, Ghana would have lost more than 70 billion cedis.
Okay.
And I will demonstrate why I say so. And so if you have an intervention that is giving you, or that is making you lose $214 million and saving 70 billion, that cannot be a loss. And I am willing and happy to listen to economists and maybe attempt to debate them, even though I'm not an economist. And why do I say so? In 2025, when the NDC government took over, we inherited an economy that was practically in an abyss. There was nothing beautiful about the economy. We were in a baller state or junk status. In fact, international communities and financial institutions have unanimously agreed that Ghana was not a country that had the credibility to borrow. And so nobody was going to borrow us. We must not forget where we came from. We inherited a country where the president, in one of the most beautiful accents then, told us there will be no haircut. And practically everybody was given haircuts in this country. We inherited a country where the city was just dancing on its own, where the economic messiahs, the Professor Jambafo, the Akoto, whatever, and the solid team, together with the, I think, 50-member committee they formed to arrest the city, could not do anything about it. Inflation at a point in this country was 54%. Remember, when inflation was 54%, the IMF told us that by reason of that, over 800 million people had been pushed down the poverty line again. So this is the country we inherited. Let's not talk about even policy rates. Let's not talk about a number of things. The NPP's record, from inflation to food inflation to policy rate to exchange rate to our gross reserve to the import cover to total public debt, was literally nothing to write home about. In fact, when President Mahama took over, he had to convince the international community. I remember in one of the meetings I sat in with the Afri-Exim Bank, where he had to tell them that we were instituting measures to bring credibility back. So that is the country we inherited. Now, in order to let the citizens feel the impact, it was important that we make a number of policy decisions. And let's not forget that this was the president that held the Economic Forum, where many economists and people in industry, students, academia, and everybody was invited to come and bring, their perspective, because the NDC believed that no one person is a repository of knowledge. Then we had to diagnose what really is the problem. And then again, let's salute the finance minister and the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And so the problem was rightly diagnosed. That which Bawumia could not diagnose, that which the NPP in 8 years could not do, it was done even before the first quarter. 2 solutions were found. That on the side of central government, there has to be fiscal prudence. The central government or the government of Ghana should not spend on irrelevant things like the National Cathedral, like awarding ambulance contracts and millions being paid even before businesses were incorporated. That at all material times, the central government had to be prudent. And Moro, I can tell you that there is nobody at the office of the president, from the secretary to the president to the last person who is even entitled to a car, who has an official car, because government in 2025 did not purchase cars for its appointees. As a measure of the fiscal prudence, there were a lot of painstaking decisions that President Mahama had to make that even internally many people were not happy with him. In fact, some people say that the NDC, we like to have these things of economic buffers. We created the sinking fund. We created the stabilization fund. We created this. And they say that why do you create all these buffers and leave it for these guys to come and squander? So economic and fiscal prudence was one measure that this government did not joke with. And what is fiscal prudence? It simply means that government was not overspending its revenues. Remember, this was being achieved at the time when we could not go to the international market to borrow so that we will come and do Wache and Kinky party. So that is instructive. And then the central bank also says that we have two mandates. The first mandate is price stability, to attain relative price stability, and also target inflation. In fact, the target of the central bank when it comes to inflation is 8% plus or minus 2. As we speak, inflation is 6.3. And so the central bank has even attained its mandates and beyond. And so these were the two measures that we had to undertake. What did we do? In the past, what the NPP government used to do was that the central bank will buy some portions of gold. And then when they buy some portion of gold, some from the big mining firms, some from the then PMMC, and then they would export as a buffer for our reserve. But while they were doing that, there were other people who were also exporting gold. In fact, it reminds me of Alistair Matthias, who says that he had very close friends in government and mentioned the president. The president is his very close friend, and did indicate that even on an annual basis, they export over 80 million worth of gold. So there was a decision on the part of the NDC government that let's bring gold board on board and let's change the object and the modus operandi and let's do things differently. Let's maximize the use of a natural resource, which is gold, because for well over more than 60-something years, we have used a certain model. It did not work, or that even where it worked, it was not sustainable. And so let's change the modus. And then there was a creation of Gold Board. And here too, let me say that Sammy Gyamfi is doing a fantastic job. And his job will not be subject to the feelings and the whims and caprices of people who do not understand it. What you have to measure a man by is not his effort, but the results. And so what are the results of the Gold Board? Today, I can tell you that for the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic, the central bank reserve is above $13 billion. And this is after we have paid the interest on the loans the NPP recklessly took. For the first time, we have more than 5 months, 7 weeks of import cover. We've never had it. For the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic, from 1992, this is the achievement of President Mahama. And so, they should not mix up the issue. And if it was that easy, and I ask again, why didn't the economic messiah do it? If it was just about accumulating reserve in the way that they say that they are gold for reserve ought to do it. Because most of their policies were just knee-jerk reactions. you know, they didn't plan, and anytime they were faced with a situation, it was as if they just called themselves into the room and say, what can we do? Then someone dropped something. They were not doing proper analysis and evaluation. And so we in the NDC and the central bank said that no, we ought to diagnose the problem well. With the gold board on board, this is the reserve, over 13 billion. That has never been done. Now, having achieved that, the result of that is that when you sell the gold, by reason of some assaying fees and differences in exchange rate, for purposes of accounting, it is captured differently. So as I speak to you, there are even engagements with the auditors of the central bank on how we can properly capture a new phenomenon that we have created so that we will not do below the budget line reporting and above the budget line reporting. That in itself, again, is a government that is transparent, a government that doesn't hide anything below the line and above the line, laying everything bare to the citizens. The single act of the gold board, which they are so not enthused about, is that it brought this country over $10 billion in reserve. And so that is why you see that anchored on the fiscal discipline is also the gold board inflows that has made the city to appreciate and, to borrow your words now, stabilize. That has to be said. Demuro, I want us to do some maths together so that our viewers would, appreciate where we are coming from. Now, when you look at the 2025 budget, the government estimated that if you look at the loans that we owe in Eurobond, interest and other payments, we were going to pay 1.8 billion cedis. Now, at an exchange rate of 15.95, which is what S&P and Fitch and other people had predicted would be the exchange rate by end of year, it means that we are going to pay in cedi terms 29 billion. By reason of this singular act, we are now having to pay 22.8 billion. We have made a savings of 6.2 billion. Rounding the figure up, I don't want to mention everything. So I want you to write that the impact on public debt is 6.2 billion.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to the IPPs, again, because we are complying with the cash waterfall mechanisms, we estimated to pay 1.8 billion. And that's at the exchange rate of the 15.95 would have brought us to 30.1 billion. Today, the same figure will give us 23.6 billion. If you do the savings, we are saving over 6.4. So we will do the addition. The first one is 6.2. The second one is 6.4. Now you know that Ghana is largely an import-driven country. And while we hope to build our industries, as we speak today, our imports bill, as was estimated in 2025, was 17.7 billion. At the same exchange rate, we are going to use 287 billion. Today, even at the port, if they were to use the exchange rate of 12, we were going to save 60.8 billion by way of just that. So when you add all these figures in billions, you do the addition and tell me, how much money have we saved by reason of the relative stability and appreciation of this currency? How much money have we saved? That is not it alone. I want viewers to know that from President Kufuor's time to President Mahamat's time, the entire Eurobond market, all those presidents borrowed about 3.75 billion. The MPP alone within 6 years, before they were booted out of the international market, borrowed 11 billion cedis. Moro, even if you were to pay 8% on the interest of the 11 billion, how much money would you be paying? How much money would you be paying? You will be paying over God knows how much. But let me not even use that analysis. You realize that earlier I did indicate that Honorable Ato Forson had paid the interest on the Eurobond, which is $709 million. Take 214, assuming we were to borrow this Eurobond, and this is only the interest for this year. I think in 2 years' time we have to pay another interest. But let's even assume, for the purposes of argument, that this 709 million is the only interest we even have to pay on the Eurobond. Take this 709 million from 214 million and give me the figure. Now, give me the total figure. Oh, you didn't do the math with me.
I'm listening to you.
No, I was expecting you to do the math.
Don't worry, I'm listening to you.
I'll do the math.
The public is doing the math, so don't worry.
I'll do the math.
You want to do the math?
Yes.
Okay, give me the
so
figure.
So when you take 214 from 709,
okay,
we have made savings of 495.
Okay.
Why? We didn't go to the Eurobond markets to take 10 billion. By reason of gold bonds operation, we are having to bring in this inflow of the 10 billion. And someone tells you that.
So this 419 is what you mean by the economic gain?
495.
495.
In addition to all the other ones.
60.8, 6.5,
yes. And this is even this is not even proper. Figure. This is not even proper. I mean calculation, because for the Eurobond you need to do the proper amortization schedule. So
call it back on
so that if you did the proper amortization schedule, you will see. If you were to compare it with the interest rates of our counterparts, which is other African countries, if they had gone to the market to borrow 10 billion, we would have been paying this interest. Somehow, the MPP says that the policy decision, the single policy decision that has strengthened the currency, that is having an impact on the price of goods, and they are even asking for more. Doratu says that they want water and other things to reduce. They are asking for more. That yes, citizens must begin to feel the impact in everything that they do, so that the exchange rate appreciation will be meaningful. They are saying that no, it is so bad that all these savings have been made. It is so bad, but it is so good that we must use 709 to pay interest. That it is so good that when they in MPP incurred losses when they were buying just less than half of the gold in 2022, the MPP incurred $74 million. In 2023, 2.15 billion. In 2024, which is their highest, 4.84 billion. They are saying that, you know what, even though we did times 10 of this, at a time when we could not attain stability for the city, at a time when we could not make savings on our debt to GDP, at a time when we practically could not help the Ghanaian economy, we did so well. But somehow, you, with all the savings you are making for us, you are not doing well. Where do we say this? And then, after Sami had explained that the gold board had not made losses, in fact, if you look at the gold board is on its way, it has not made losses. The gold board is on its way to making surpluses. Then they say that, you know what, then if it's not you, then it is the central bank. Under the NPP, the central bank cumulatively made losses of 81.6 billion cedis from 2017 to 2024.
How much?
81.6 billion cedis.
I see.
From 2017 to, and you know, in the midst of all these, the central bank could not achieve the two objects it had to achieve: price stability and then inflation. You have a central bank that today, inflation is below its target. Inflation is 6.3. On Wednesday or so, they will release the next figure. It would either be a minimal decrease or maybe the same. Relative stability, 11 consecutive months, inflation is on the decline. Policy rates, people were taking personal loans in your government at a rate of 33%. I remember my friend at one bank, he literally chased me for loan, 33%. Today, people are taking personal loans at 12% and 13%. Even that policy rate had reduced from 27% to 18%. If inflation heads down again, the central bank will reduce the policy rate again so we can free space up. And the MPP says what? For all the gains we have made, for all the billions, this single policy, which is being implemented and is being done better than we did it, let's just talk about loss. Where lies the loss? What would have been the opportunity cost of not engaging in this model that we have? And I say that if you cannot give a man credit, you know, the MPP, they were a bit obsessed with Ato Forson even when he was in opposition. They wanted him incarcerated at all costs. Ato must go to jail. And Ato, because they knew the potential. Could you, and again, my chairman, Dr. Isiama, they wanted these two, it's as if they had the vision. They wanted these two men behind bars at all costs. They knew what they can do to the economy. Can you imagine the monumental achievement? Can you imagine? And you know, in all these discussions, you cannot take away the credibility of the IMF, the World Bank, Fitch, and everybody. The World Bank, the DFIs, and everybody predicted that it would take Ghana more than a decade, more than 10 years to achieve the target. Even for that, they were not giving us these indicators. They were giving us 15 cedis and the rest. And in 1 year, one fiscal year, this has been achieved. I want to hear arguments like, we had the men who would do this and do that, and we would not have incurred 214 million, an unaudited figure, but for the purposes of argument.
Okay.
I want to hear arguments like, we did this way. The figures show this contrary. These things they've been doing. Okay. And you could see the eyesore that happened over the weekend on Newsfile. These things they've been bundling around, the things they've been saying, and it is not enough for you to just say that a loss was made.
Okay.
The thing is that this cannot be described as a loss. This is an economic profit. This is something that has gone to make the lives of many Ghanaians better. This is something that has the potential to even cause us to build on the foundation. And I hear a lot of people saying that what they want is sustainability. I can assure them that the central bank is not sleeping. I can assure them that the finance minister is working. I can assure them that President Mahama himself does not sleep. Every time the conversation has been, how can we sustain this? And so you can understand the MPP more. For 1 year in government, they don't have cash for seats to talk about. For 1 year in government, there is no moving pina to talk about, or the Boss Gate scandal. For 1 year in government, nobody has gone to take somebody's rice to go and share during Salah. For 1 year in government, free SHS people are not eating Moshosho rice. For 1 year in government, the people are practically starved of scandal. And so when they see the figures, and I'm surprised, especially at Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, that, I mean, I think he has a bit of economic background and is also a lawyer. When you see such a release from the IMF, you don't go to town and say Gold Board has made losses. I'm surprised. We're from that reasoning. But somehow they believe that, you know what, let's keep peddling falsehood. Let's keep saying these things. I saw a post of someone that this generation, When you meet them with lies, they will expose you. And so I want, in concluding, I want to tell the people of Ghana that President Mahama has you at heart.
Okay.
President Mahama recognizes the need to build a nation. In fact, in his New Year message to the people of Ghana, one thing that he said was that he recognized that we have a nation to build. There is no NPP Ghana, there is no CPP Ghana, there is no NDC Ghana, there is one Ghana.
All right.
And he also recognized, he has said it on many platforms, that this is about the last time many young people will have confidence in leadership again. And so he will not fail you. Okay. He will not fail you. The central bank will not fail you. The finance minister will not fail you.
Right.
What we will not listen to are people who just make averments without proof.
Okay.
Are people who don't take their time to read and analyze the issues and just say, oh, this has been done. Oh, if it's not this, you see the propaganda. Okay. Bower Rock was for Joyce Bower and their brothers. Now they say it's no longer that. They said, oh, Bower Rock was incorporated sometime in 2025. Now they say that, oh, we thought that was it. They are everywhere.
All right.
The people of Ghana must know that their hope is the NDC, and the NDC will deliver on its mandate to make the lives of people better than we came to meet it.
All right, Laura.
Laura.
Talk to me.
What Beatrice has done is like, you know that famous story of learning for a particular topic and going to the exam room and meeting a different one. So she kind of
was the topic not the goal?
Learned for, was it for cow? And the question that came was grass. So she goes on the tangent that grass is eaten by cows. And again, she keeps saying they are not sleeping. Please, sleep is very important for brain function. They need to factor that in.
Please do me this favor,
okay.
Because I don't want to truncate your thoughts when you. So let's take a break, and then I'll come back to you. So I'll give you the next 20, 25 minutes. So you're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. Please don't go anywhere.
Kids Day the right way, filled with confidence to take on any challenge. Pepsodent Kids contains the right amount of fluoride and sugar acid protection to care for their developing gums and teeth. Grab either orange or strawberry so they brush with the sweet flavor they love morning and evening. Pepsodent Kids, giving your children a bright smile for a brighter future.
Ebusiafo ye mama kwaba eba Children's Palace. Nkwala nyema nyina fie enyi. Yonkwala ntade mani mema nyina ntare nyina wase. Yonkwala shoes, yonkwala duane, yonkwala wipes, yonkwala diapers, yonkwala toys, baby cot. In fact, bibia opama omanyina obenye biwa ase. Located at East Legon Hills, Nana Chrome KFC. Contact us on 059 6377 172. Children's Palace. Happy children, happy fashion. See you soon. Bye bye.
Edum, time aso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya ma besisia. Abozege. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji. Dabio, baby wom. Ready. Hey, baby wom. Ah, Eji. I'll cause some discomfort. Ah. Sorry, well, uncle, where would I die? Why your funeral?
Say a Pesori insecticide GB at a user. For pharmacy in a shop, Biam. No mum say a pharmacy, supermarket, and a shop ra. Now a pedudu to a cotonwa. On a Royal Dutch and our Aerofield Trading. If he spray with Daimwa. Change.
Never dispose of ashes or fire into dustbins at the market or homes. You could start a fire outbreak, endangering both lives and properties. Use the dustbins for your waste and garbage only.
You're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. I'm here with lawyer Beatrice Anan Esquire, who's a member of the NDC's communication and also a presidential staffer. Also is Lorato Saka Musa, who is a member of the MPP's communications team as well. The both of them are here. Laura, you were... Now, as for Beatrice, she's in a different mood today, and it's understandable. Today is a very, very special day. Today is her birthday. And
no,
Godwin says I should say...
I'm not in a different mood. I'm actually very serious about
Godwin Tamaklo, the MPA boss. He said I should wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
And
Godwin
also,
is ice cream. Everybody likes him.
I should tell Godwin I should buy you ice cream.
No, we call him ice cream.
Oh, you call Godwin ice cream? How did you come by
He's everybody's favorite.
Godwin Tamaklo.
He doesn't have a problem with anyone in life.
Laura, please go ahead.
Laura, you said what? She's in a different mood and she's saying what? She's serious.
I'm very serious.
Did you talk about seriousness?
Oh, why?
You are what you think.
Today's a birthday.
Like I said, after Beatrice doing her Agama lizard thing, you know, and to her that she keeps saying they don't sleep. Please, sleep is very important for brain function and everything that they are doing.
Or rather, let me qualify. We don't sleep at function.
Please. You've already said it. You've said it more than once. Please, sleep is important for brain function.
Right.
And when you are running an economy, you need you do a lot of brain work. So we need them to be healthy.
You didn't run it well.
Do it.
Okay.
Same Jemfi and Dollars. I don't know whether because she was located at Miami some time back. It's all about dollars.
I don't think
it's all about dollars.
He said the ice cream he said is called. He says it's fake news.
No. I think Lorato should not trivialize the issue.
Can I go on?
Lorato should not trivialize the issue.
Dollars. Moro, what's the issue?
Yes.
Minority came up with allegations of 214 million loss.
Right.
By virtue of the operations of Gold Board.
Okay.
And ended their statements after putting the issues out. Ended their statements by calling for a bipartisan probe.
Okay.
And I support that call 100%. And I think that if the government doesn't have anything to hide, I think this bipartisan probe should be instituted to bring a closure to this. $214 million. That's some over $2.2 billion at the prevailing exchange rate, Ghana cedis. Oh, you can imagine what that amount of money can do. The hospitals it can build, the schools it can build, the road infrastructure it can build. Yeah, you said you're going to build the cathedral. So you can build the cathedral too, if you want to add that. Right. So $240 million is not an amount that you can just wax lyrical around. And that is what they've been doing since these assertions were made by the minority. Yes, Sami is responding, but it's between Sami, Gold Board, because Beatrice says Sami is Gold Board and Gold Board is Sami. So Sami is between Sami, Gold Board,
I thought you were correct
and Bank of Ghana.
What you said?
When she misspeaks,
So it's between
About what?
Beatrice. When you were talking,
What exactly
I was
did you say?
shush,
What-
as
what-
if
what
I
did she say
wasn't.
that
She said, I said Sami is
I
Gold
wasn't.
Gold Board is
I
Sami.
wasn't.
Yes, and I never made
I
that
wasn't.
submission.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
she
you should
never said
correct
I
so that
spoke.
so that I don't
never said that.
interject.
She
When
never
she was
said that.
speaking, I was quiet.
The statement
Yeah,
about that
they've
Gold Board is
stated-
Sami,
She hasn't
Gold
written
Board.
that all over social media. She's never written
Oh,
that.
okay. You mean she wrote
She's
that
never said that
on
anywhere.
Facebook?
How will I say Sami is Gold Board and Gold Board is Sami?
Do you have that?
Moro, can I make my
Okay,
point?
please go ahead.
No, you shouldn't allow her to make
Beatrice,
these statements.
This heckling will not help.
No, it's not heckling.
She said
You are
you've made a
attributing to
factual
me a
error.
statement I
Okay,
haven't
so this
made.
issue.
Because unlike the
This
MPP,
issue-
I know the difference between
this
a company,
issue-
a statutory body, and an individual.
Right. Okay.
This issue
She takes.
is between Gold
Strong
Board.
exception.
with that.
Yeah.
Is between Gold Board. You can add it to her birthday present. This issue is between Gold Board and Bank of Ghana. Why are we having this conversation? IMF came with a report, and I don't think IMF conjures data. It's data from the country that they use to write their reports. Correct me if I'm wrong. This same IMF reports previously was touted by especially Sami Jemfi and communicators like Beatrice to justify every assertion they made against the Akufo-Addo administration. So it's not now that they are in power that will shelve reports or just throw out reports from the IMF, especially when we are on an IMF program. 214 million is not a joke. It must be investigated and investigated thoroughly. Because for Beatrice to come and sit here and say because she finds herself on the board of the Bank of Ghana, she can't say much and all that. So why talk in the first place? If you can't give us the information we need to make the right decisions we need to make. And now we are using semantics. Now stabilization is not okay. Now she's saying what is economic, what profits and all that. Yes, you can categorize profits in every way that you want to. Why are we even Cocoa Board that used to go for loans and all that? I think 2024, 2025, they're trying to move to self-financing aggregators. Don't we learn from existing institutions to make things better? So why will Go Board be going on the tangent of a sole aggregator who is not self-financing? Why would we want to do that? And again, don't let us make it seem as if the domestic gold purchase program is a novelty. It started before this administration. And even when you look at the 2024 manifesto of my party, the New Patriotic Party, we're going to institutionalize them because there have been long-term conversations on how to add value to what we produce and yet not just send them out in the raw state because we're not making the kind of gains that we need to go. So if you continue a program that's supposed to make it easier and lessen our reliance on Forex and all that, it's a good step. But that doesn't mean that when there's an indication that there's a loss, we should gloss over it. And you come and sit on TV and radio and think that all that you say is what it is. Where did the IMF get that data to come to that conclusion from? In another breath, they are saying that whatever report the IMF used is not audited. They are using all kinds of terms. Look, Moro, when it comes to the people's money, when it comes to the people's resources, it's not about PR and settings. It's about stating the issues clearly and answering the questions that are being asked. Not about telling us you can't speak much, but you try and give. Yours is not to try. Yours is to tell us and convince us that the assertion is not right.
What do you want to know?
Please, let me make my point.
What do you want to know that
it's
I haven't told you?
That's why I'm saying,
Let's land.
At the end of the day, this call came from minority. And I repeat, if the government has nothing to hide, especially with the gargantuan majority, they should support this call for a bipartisan probe so we can have closure.
Okay.
We can't afford to have it on our books that $214 million. That's some 2.2 billion Ghana cedis and change has been lost. You don't come and say economic profit and all that. And don't come and say we could have lost 70 billion and we are losing. No.
Okay.
The fact that we want things done right, the fact that we want to earn, doesn't mean we shouldn't also apply caution and discipline to whatever we want to do. So this bipartisan probe must be done. And all the information, because we are hearing from Sami Jemfi and Gobo, we are hearing from a member of the Central Bank board who cannot give us a lot of information. We need to have it.
But Laura, she
practices oversight over the executive.
That's fine.
Is the legislature.
But she raises two questions, and I'm not sure if you have responded to those questions.
Yes.
One.
Am I supposed to be responding to a question?
Not necessarily. Okay. Not necessarily. I mean, she raises some issues, and I don't know whether you would be minded.
She shouldn't be raising issues, though.
No,
she's a government. She should be clarifying what the assertions are.
What issue have you raised?
She hasn't.
So far, what issue have you raised?
There were two things that I got from what she said, Elora.
Yes.
One is that by the mere policy design of the domestic purchase program, it is bound to make some losses. But those losses, as I heard her say, it's like a necessary evil because of the bigger picture. And she walks us through what the bigger picture is, in almost 80 billion cedis that we've had to save. So that she says, if you take $240 million which have been lost, as against the almost 80 billion which have been gained, it pales the $214 million into insignificance. Some would say it's even infinitesimal. So she does a cost-benefit analysis and says, yes, I acknowledge 214, there's been a loss, even though it's not audited. But even if we're to go with what the IMF has said, let's juxtapose that against what has been made. the inflation, which is the disinflation we're seeing, and also the stability we're seeing in prices and so on, which every Ghanaian says they're enjoying. So that's and the fact that all that we're enjoying has to come at some small cost.
And
so that's what I thought I heard her say.
As a taxpayer,
right?
You think this explanation is kosher? Why? So if, let's say, ECG, right? If ECG comes to tell us that they've made losses, right?
Right.
Because of illegal connection.
Okay.
We should let it go. Because it's illegal connection. Are they not supposed to put measures in place to curb that? Are they not supposed to put measures in place to be efficient? So why do they go after people that do illegal connection?
Okay.
Why do they go over people? So this explanation of what we could have lost against what is gained is not good corporate governance.
Right.
It shouldn't be encouraged.
This is not corporate governance. Let's not mix up
the fact that
let's not
state
mix up the
institutions
issues at all.
The fact that state institutions are not profit making,
right,
doesn't mean that they shouldn't factor in efficiency and discipline in whatever they are doing. Even if it's one person, there should be measures. There should be an effort to put in measures to make it efficient so that we don't lose that one person. So the fundamental thing, there's no point going round the circles. She says she can't say much as a board member.
What have you
Sami
that
is
I
going
can't say?
round the goal board, and what we could have lost and what could have earned. What will bring this issue to a closure is a bipartisan, where all information, everything that needs to be put out for Ghanaians to have closure should be done. And that is what we should be calling.
So,
and that is what the government should also be pushing if they have nothing to add.
So Alhaji Suwari sense, Alhaji Suwari is based in the United States, but from time to time he comes to Ghana, and he has some insights into how the gold board thing works. He says, the fact is gold board has dismantled many major gold smuggling syndicates that operated in the country for years without benefiting the country of the people. Without benefiting the economy of the people. The attacks on Sami Gyamfi we're seeing have nothing to do with national interest. They are purely political and personal. Remember, we lived through the days when Bawumia and his boss took Ghana to the IMF on a stretcher for $3 billion balance of payments bailouts with harsh conditionalities like DDP, haircuts, and utility price hikes. Today, Gold Board under Sami Gyamfi has generated about $11 billion from our own resources to strengthen reserves in just 1 year. And suddenly the NPP is angry about it. What really matters are results. Ghana has earned $11 billion in Forex. Inflation is down, the city is stable, fuel prices are falling, and the cost of living is easing. These aren't theories, they are real outcomes people can feel. Sami Gyamfi has delivered more tangible benefits to Ghana in less than a year than Bawumia and the solid economic management team managed in 8 years, and that more than anything is a place why the NPP and Loratu can't sleep. Samuel Brown Boabin says that Dr. Khalil's Mohammed's article is no different from Mustafa Gwande's article or Kweku Boabin's. When a political actor and senior government official says 1 year of his own government without honestly acknowledging its failures, he ceases to be objective and becomes a sycophant. Is the secretary to the president unable to see anything wrong with bandits on the government's payroll who storm people's homes and cause mayhem? Are we to believe that he cannot condemn the unprovoked attack on Hawa Kumsin by these hooligans? Why has he remained silent on the plight of innocent Ghanaians who were dismissed from their various offices simply because the government claims they were employed in December? If those in the highest offices cannot speak out against such actions, then the country is truly in trouble. God save Ghana, Samuel Brown Boabin. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, Assalamu alaikum. Truth be told, I don't think the NPP as a political party has any more right to be talking about the economy when others are talking. The NPP under the leadership of the head of the economy management team left the economy under heavy mess, and that's a fact. The evidence is out there for all to see. The economic management of this country under the NPP was rated a junk economy. Junk economy simply means baller economy, and as we speak, the economy of Ghana under the leadership of President Mahama and the NDC is rated B+, a B-. Our macroeconomic indicators are improving, and he goes on and on and on. Alhaji Hamza, thank you very much for sending us that message. All right, so this is Master Planner Junior says, great submission by my sister Loratu. We are so proud of her. Beatrice took on this like she's still in opposition. Tell her Dennis Abuaji is not the director of communications for the NPP. The propaganda in Jandam is too much. President Mahama has already disappointed the Ghanaian youth Where is the 133? Where are the 1 million coders? Where are the women in banks? Just give time some time. Anyway, happy birthday to her, Beatrice. God bless her so much that she reduced the propaganda. And 26 days to go. Dr. Bamiya is number 3 on the ballot paper. Happy birthday, Beatrice. As you can see,
she's going to cry.
Well, Loratu says that there's no way we would end this show without a birthday cake.
It's a cake from Loratu.
No, it's from me. And Metro TV.
MPPM.
Don't you know more right now?
No, MPPM boys. MPPM boys.
No, there's no E-levy on it, I beg you. There's no E-levy on it, I beg you. There's no E-levy, so you're free.
Wound to me, I'm learning from you.
Anyway, happy birthday. Where's the knife?
Thank you.
Let's cut the cake.
Get up,
Let's cut the cake. Godwin said he wanted to come, and unfortunately, traffic. It was supposed to be a surprise.
Thank you, everybody.
You know,
Thank
so
you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. How old are you now? How old are you now? How old are you now? How old are you now?
May God
bless you. Hip, hip, hip.